Before we get to the show, I wanted to announce that my latest film, Dark Deceptions, is premiering July 13th on Tubi. It's a Tubi original. I'm so excited for you guys to watch this thriller. Make sure you check it out now. On to the show. All right, welcome to the podcast. Really excited about today's guests. We have on showrunner Nicole Vernarec and producer Matthew Darcy Vieira. I also think you did some directing as well on the show Rumors, correct?
Right, yeah.
Well, thanks. I got to watch the pilot on Tubi. I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to have you guys on the show and let's kind of talk about how you got your show on Tubi and kind of give me the origin of your show.
Okay. Well, yeah, as far as the origin, it honestly came from, I think, a little bit of a frustrated creative in the sense that I was auditioning and I had some scripts that we were trying to send out or get attachments to and all of that. And that's a very long, waiting game process. And I was
Yeah.
just getting antsy in the meantime. And so I said to him, "What can I film right now? I want to do something right now. I need to do something." And he said, "Well, go write something small and feasible that's not, inside of an airplane that we can actually film. It's not going to cost $1 million. Go write that." And so I went and locked myself in my room for a week and came up with the concept for Rumors, which was just to do something that was a little bit more low key in the sense of locations, expenses, all of that, and just more about the emotional relationship between a couple of characters and their journey. And it passed the test. So it was something that was more feasible to film to start out with. But then as far as getting it all the way to Tubi, that's where I'll throw it to Matt because that was his part in this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest struggle these days is really just being able to create and just get it out there. A lot of filmmakers want to be on Netflix and they want to be wherever. But the first steps right out the gate are, just creating something on your own. Obviously, you're able to do that. We were able to make something great and looks phenomenal. For my opinion, obviously, I'm the director of it, but I think we can all agree, as well as Eddie's deeply Salerno, he did a great job, really bringing
Yeah.
cinematic feel to what was essentially kind of a web series, but became a show. And it just really elevated. I think that's a lot of also, good cast, good story, good cinematics, and that's what ended up. It made it easy to get it out.
So there's an LGB component to it. I just wanted to know, was that something that you wanted to tackle from the start?
Honestly, I think it came from the perspective of wanting to have a show where I think at the time when I wrote it and we filmed it back in 2019, at the time, a lot of the LGBTQ representation in media was about coming out and this whole big thing, and it was like an 1800s drama that's so angsty and devastating. And, I wanted to kind of write something where there were queer characters, but that's not what the entire story was about. They have
Yeah.
identities and existence outside of the fact that they are queer and that they have to come out and whatever. And I wanted them to just kind of be able to exist and have drama and have Kat be bullied and teased and all of this by Lindsay without having had anything to do with her sexuality, just because sometimes people are mean even outside of that. So that was kind of where that came from.
What I really enjoyed was the chemistry you had with Trina. Was this something that you discovered on set or in the process of auditioning, or is this like someone you've worked with before and so you can kind of fall into place?
No, actually, we had never worked with her before. It was a part of the casting. We just got very lucky that she
Wow.
came into the audition one day. Yeah.
Right before a weekend.
Yeah, it's like pouring rain and, one of those things. And yeah, I knew immediately. And it was funny because actually in the callback, I remember doing the scene with her again. And, we were all set to say, "Okay, great, we'll give you a call and let you know." And I turned to Matt and I was like, "Can I just tell her now? We want you. We want
Aw,
this."
that's
And she was so
awesome.
excited about it. But yeah, no, it was very random and just lucky that she submitted to it and that it kind of fell into place that way.
Yeah. I did enjoy the theme of it being more like a central character like study of that person instead of it just being like it's a love story, it's a this story. I did enjoy the drama behind this 20-year promise that two people make to each other, because I haven't really seen that before. Did any
Hmm.
of this kind of spring from your life, or did you just kind of like stumble into this story?
So that one's actually really interesting because the plot with Lucy was sort of something I added after the fact because I had written it out and I felt like it was just missing something from her backstory that needed to be more present in her day to day.
Yeah.
And so I ended up actually adding a bunch of those scenes afterwards, after we met Cheyenne, who was the actress we cast for Lucy. And that was another kind of random addition. We had made a connection, Matt made a connection with somebody who knew lighting, or I don't know. It was one of those things where you don't even remember where it came from. And he's like, oh,
Hmm.
I know this girl I just worked with. She'd be great. And so we just reached out to her directly after looking at some of her materials. And we were like, hey, do you want to, this is so weird, but do you want to come do this thing and be a part of this? And luckily, again, she accepted and we just hit it off really well as well. But I ended up actually adding a couple of scenes after I met her because I felt like, oh, now I know who this character is a little bit more too. She actually kind of like informed Lucy for me
That's
a little
awesome.
bit more once I interacted with her and met her, and I felt like this now all of a sudden the character makes sense to me, kind of.
I mean, you wear a lot of hats. You're the series creator, you've acted in it, you've directed some episodes. How did you manage all of that and like keep a sane head?
Uh, that's a good question. No, honestly, I think when I look back on that time, I still talk about this regularly. Like, it was just the most fun I've ever had. And it was kind of insane at moments for sure. But I think because it all happened relatively quickly, because I wrote the show and then I think 4 months later we were filming it. So it
Wow,
was still
that's quick.
very, yeah, it was insane. So a lot of it was just very still present and fresh in my brain when it came to the script and all that. And so when I had to flip from one thing to another, it felt more natural, I think, because I was just so immersed in all of it and all of the
Yeah.
world of it at the time. So that definitely helped. But yeah, there were definitely moments, I think, for both of us that we were on the brink of losing sanity sometimes. Because we both had to wear a lot of the hats, and on the production side, Matt was doing basically everything on that side of managing all of that and hiring crew and finding people that last minute could come in and cover and whatever. So there was a lot of, and there was a lot of Murphy's Law things too, I think, that happened during the shoot, that
Yeah.
things would come up and last minute, hey, I had to step out from behind the camera to go handle producer things and all of that. So it was definitely a lesson in how much you can handle and learning how much actually goes on behind the camera, that it's not as simple as you put the camera there, the actors are there, and then you make magic. Like, there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Yeah, I've definitely I've definitely seen that like a big percentage of filmmaking is problem solving.
Yes, for sure.
Well, Matt, I mean, you've directed a lot and the director has the vision. So going into this, when Nicole tells you like this is the show I want to make, did you have any kind of visual thoughts on what you wanted to see going into it?
Yeah, as far as visual thoughts, that's some. I definitely had time working with Eddie to kind of understand how we wanted the audience to feel through the camera.
Yeah.
If you look at like a lot of shots, unfortunately, is not here because he for him, but we wanted the audience to really feel like they were looking through Kat's eyes and kind of seeing what was going on from her perspective. So you can see a lot
Right.
of shots actually are what normal framing, you have someone set up,
Yeah.
kind of off center, but if you really look at it, we've stacked everything to where
Yeah.
you're looking straight down the lines and really able to feel what's going on with the character in the moment. And also kind of relates over to the audience as well. From a visual aspect, that was a lot of it, but then also from the story aspect, which, is a lot of people put into the writing and creating the show. Um, the character kind of, like, in a way, you're just watching her walk through life.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, and you're able to follow her really well. We talk about a lot. You play a huge part in the audience character in this one, but then from there, you're also the able to segue into each other character's life. When we get to see Shane's, a bit of Shane's kind of like inner perspective on what's actually going on in his life when there's that scene that he talks with you on the couch, with Cal on the couch.
Yeah.
You know, stuff with Trina as far as on the hike, stuff with Lindsay on the beach. They all kind of open up, and that all came from the story. Just honestly, it was kind of easy to just bring it to life.
Yeah.
But a lot of the cinematics, I think that's where I come from. I come from a background with camera, and I think that for me was the most fun part of the show.
Nicole, I mean, I love that you made this happen. I'm constantly preaching to screenwriters on the show, like, make it happen, find your success, don't wait for success to come knocking on your door. It doesn't work that way. So you've done this, right? You locked yourself in the room, you put the writer's hat on, you ripped it off, put the actor's hat on, and then finished it up with the director. Did you edit it too? I'm just kidding. But did you? That's awesome.
Great portion of the show, and it was brutal, and months and months of sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, editing is a whole Kafka-esque type of thing that you have to go through, because like you lose touch with reality at one point. But what I wanted to ask is, like, you've done this. You've got this show on Tubi. That's awesome. It's on a legit streamer. You're doing the tour, but are you starting to see, everything that came to fruition start to pay off for you?
I think it's interesting because it feels like it still doesn't really feel like, I don't know, when people say to me, oh, it's on Tubi, it still doesn't really feel like it is, because I think for so long, like he was saying, we were editing it, we were doing that, we did some festivals, we did all, this was 5 years ago now that we started this process. So it still feels like people say that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's on Tubi now. Like, we've been so immersed in the material for so long, I think that I kind of forget in a way that it's actually out there until people will say, oh, I watched it. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's right. People are watching it now. But yeah,
awesome.
and I think it's definitely in the most impactful way, I think, honestly, is, like I said, that it was the most informative of what actually goes into the entire process of it, from writing it to actually getting some money behind it, to film it, to actually like releasing it and getting it distributed and doing all of that. So when we look to the next things, we're like, oh, great. Now we kind of have a better understanding of how to tackle it, which doesn't remove all the obstacles to get there necessarily, but it gives you a better understanding of what goes into it, so you know how to start to approach the next thing, instead of, I feel like we went into this blind, at least me, a little. I was just like, I just want to make something. I don't know. But now I feel more, I guess, prepared to do something else, to say, okay, I have a better understanding of what this is going to be.
So I feel like that's what you're looking into. Are you looking into a new show?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I have some like series, a couple of series that I've been working on for a few years now. I have a couple of features that I've been branching out to write, because he says, my God, would you just write a feature? So much easier than getting a TV show off the ground. We have a TikTok series that we're hoping to start filming in July, to kind of try and go in that field, as well as that's where a lot of stuff is moving for short form content, podcasts. Yeah, so we've kind of got a lot of it that's simmering and just ready to like pounce at any moment. So trying to explore all the different avenues of what's next creatively, for sure.
So what is your advice to screenwriters out there that may not necessarily be actors, but maybe they want to like make their own show, get into directing and producing?
Yeah, I would say just do something. It was by far the best thing, whether it goes anywhere or not, because like we said, when I wrote this, it was originally, they were 10 to 12 minute episodes. There were 10 to 12 minute episodes. So it was just something we were just going to make and put out on YouTube. So that way it was something that we've done. So I could feel that little bit of creative outlet release for a second. And also something that would be a testament to what we can do. And then obviously it ended up somewhere neither of us really expected it could possibly go.
Awesome.
So that would be the advice I would say that was the best thing that he could have done to me, was like, just go do something cheaper, something feasible, because I think a lot of people get a passion project and they hold
Yeah.
on to that. Like I do, I have one of those too, I'm still holding it, but, to do something feasible in the meantime, to say, let's do something we can actually just do right now. What is actually realistic for right now, even if it's just a 5-page short that you can film with a friend
That's
or
awesome.
whatever it is. Just go do something, because nowadays we have all these platforms where stuff can go out and be viewed, and you never know who might see what. And if anything, just for your creative sanity, it helps. Just do something, just make something that you can make.
I love that. Any advice, Matt?
Yeah, I would definitely jump on the bandwagon with that. For me, coming from production as well as going to school for producing, um, I hate to be an advocate of don't go to school for it, just do it. But I kind of am. It's a creative aspect. There's a lot of people who pick up a paintbrush and put paint on canvas and are able to, create something great. So why not do the same thing with a camera, acting or writing, directing, whatever it is. And then again, like you said, with the platforms, we have cameras now that people are shooting movies on. TikTok is available to you. There's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a stigma with TikTok, which is fun. Sure, it's a platform for advertising, etc. But it's also a platform to be creative and connect with other people to be creative as well. So I think get out there and Shia LaBeouf said it in that one video. Just do it. You know what I mean?
Just do it.
Yeah, just keep trying and make something happen. Because it's not, like you said, it's not going to be someone else doing it for you. You create something.
I love it. Well, Nicole, it's funny that going back to what you had mentioned about not realizing you have something on Tubi because you still kind of have your eyes on the road, right? And I'm very much the same way. My cousin stopped me the other day and he's like, dude, you need to stop and just look out the side window and see everything that you've done because you're so focused on the road, it's all passing you by. So you've got a show on Tubi, man. You did it. Congratulations. I'm
Thank you.
excited for you. You guys, V Squared Pictures.
Mhm.
Before I leave you, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
I think that it's been pretty much all covered.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, that was easy then. The show's Rumors is on Tubi. Congratulations, guys. I think it's a great character study, and I think you guys did a good job. So thanks for being on the show.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.